Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin for the win, and we're back for another edition of Diablo 3. Today on the channel, we are taking a look at the Bombardment build, using the Armor of Akkhan for the Crusader. Very powerful, very fast build. Bombardment got significantly buffed 2 or 3 seasons ago at this point. It's a very powerful build. We're going to bring it up for you right here. Here it is, Armor of Akkhan. 2-piece bonus, reduce the cost of abilities by 50% while Akarat's champion is active. 4-piece, reduce the cooldown of Akarat's champion by 50%. 6-piece, while Akarat's champion is active, you deal 2,000% increased damage and take 50% less damage. To help with this build, we're also going to be using the burden of Invoker pieces, as well as the Captain Crimson pieces. So first off, the burden Invoker, we're just using 2 pieces of it. And as you can see here, we're using the shoulders and the bracers. 2-piece bonus, your thorns damage now hits all enemies in a 15-yard radius around you. Each time you hit an enemy with punish, slash, or block an attack, you deal more damage, and there's a stack to that. Okay, we're also going to be using, as you saw here, the Flail of the charge. 2-piece bonus, increase the duration of steed charge by 2 seconds. In addition, killing an enemy reduces its cooldown of steed charge by 1 second. Gain 400% increased attack when you're in steed charge. For Captain Crimson, it goes pretty much with everything. Here it is. 2-piece bonus, 6,000 life per second, reduces cooldown of all skills by 20%, reduces all resource costs by 20%. 3-piece damage dealt is increased by a percentage of cooldown, and damage that you take is decreased by the percentage of cost reduction that you have. To help with this build, we're going to be using the Restraint and Focus Rings. 2-piece bonus, when you hit an enemy with a primary skill, deal 50% increased damage. 2-piece bonus, you hit with resource spending attack, you get back pretty much resources. Alright, so we also have to use here the Talisman of Akkhan, so we don't have a necklace at our disposal. For the skills, Sweep Attack, Inspiring Sweep, Bombardment, Powers of Spike. Remember, this is a Thorns build, so it's very important. Iron Skin, Reflective Skin, Akarat's Champion, Prophet, Condemn, Reciprocate, or Vacuum, whichever you prefer. Steed Charge, Spike, Barding. For the passives, Heavenly Strength, Iron Maiden. We're also going to be using Finery. And last but not least, Indestructible. In the Knights Cube, you absolutely need this. The Mortal Drama, Belt of the Trove, and the Ring of Royal Grandeur. For the follower, my recommendation, have a Broken Crown, Nemesis Bracers, Flavor of Time. Everything else is just kind of throwaway, whatever you can get and you can put on. Goldskin's not great. It's not bad. It's just there. For the purpose of this showcase, we will be doing a greater of 60, 65, 70, and 75. If I feel like it, we'll do 80, but in reality, the clear time between 75 and 80 is not going to be that significant, in my personal opinion. So, I'm going to show you how this works. It's a very simple armor. As long as you follow certain optimization of it, you should be able to decimate most enemies. The only problem is you are a little bit more squishy compared to the Thorns of the Invoker build. Thorns is more tanky, this one's more powerful. Alright, so when you get into the Grey Rift, first thing you need to do is cast your Akarat's champion. From there, I would recommend then clicking in your Iron Skin when you have a chance. That way you'll increase the amount of Thorns damage that you have. Now remember, because of the Belt of the Trove and the Mortal Drama, in conjunction with each other, you're going to be constantly dropping a whole bunch of bombardments naturally, where you won't necessarily have to cast your bombardment. So what you should be doing is running around the map, steed charging around, looking for elite packs to basically take out. Remember, bombardments will drop naturally. The one thing you have to, that I've noticed, particularly when I've playtested this armor many times, is the fact that when you're not actually doing any sort of attacking motion, the bombardments tend to stall out for a while. So that's why I personally like to use the sweep attack. Most people would prefer to use punish or slash, which is perfectly fine. I like to use, however, sweep attack, although it doesn't get the Invoker's second part of its 2-piece bonus, just based on the fact that it gives you a little bit more armor, which is something that this armor can basically benefit from, since it's not as tanky as the Thorns of the Invoker variation of Bombardment Crusader. So your damage rotations are going to look very simple. You're pretty much going to steed charge around as the bombardments drop naturally. Sweep attack every so often when you're out of your steed charge, just to get some armor. The bombardments are going to drop naturally. The only other thing you really got to keep an eye on is when your Akarat's champ is basically available and no longer on cooldown, that you reactivate it. The same thing with Iron Skin. Without having your Iron Skin active, your bombardments are going to do significantly less damage, because remember, when you activate the Iron Skin, you are increasing the amount of thorns that you have for a prolonged period of time. And that's basically pretty much how this armor operates. It's just really fast, very powerful, which is kind of ironic considering Bombardment 2 or 3 seasons ago was actually pretty bad. And they did some significant buffs and reworks, and now it's very high up there. I would say even close to S tier, if not S tier status. Now, in terms of optimization, what should you be doing with this armor? There's a couple of things that you definitely have to look out for. Well, first off, I think it's very important to note that since this does use thorns for the bombardments and the iron skin and everything else, it's very important that you maximize your thorn stats wherever you can on this armor. The highest rolls on thorns, wherever you can get it. It's very important. The more thorns you have, the more damage you're going to be doing, which means you will be able to clear your leaderboard placement, or at least clear greater rifts very fast. So you should have high leaderboard placements, is what I'm saying. Subsequently, after you are optimizing for thorns, the next thing that you want to do is, remember, this is a Captain Crimson set, so you want to invest in 8.0% cooldown reduction wherever possible. The more cooldown reduction you have, obviously because of the free piece bonus, you will be able to deal more damage. So put 8.0% cooldown reduction wherever you can. Now, in terms of the helm, my recommendation is critical hit chance 6.0%. I also recommend on the gloves critical hit damage 50%, as well as the attack speed 8.0%. Now, I know what people are going to say in the comments. Well, Bombardment and Thorns doesn't work with critical hit damage. This is true. The critical hit damage is for when you are using your Steed Charge and your Sweep Attack, because those things are not counted as Thorns. Therefore, you need to increase their damage. So being able to increase your Sweep Attack to actually do significant amount of damage in conjunction with your Steed Charge is actually very important, which is why I rock the critical hit damage. Because I know it's going to come up in the comments, because it's come up in the comments before. It's for the attacks that do not revolve around Thorns. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see in the comments still some dum-dum that decides that they're going to put and try to remind me and backseat me on this one. But that's what the critical hit damage is for. Alright, Grey Rift 60, 3 minutes and 15 second clear time. As you saw there, you just kind of saved that bombardment that you don't use, and you click it in for the Rift Guardian, and you pretty much will kill them on the low Greater. Alright, Greater Rift 65, same strategy as before. When you get into the Greater Rift, activate your Akarat champion. Then you want to activate your Iron Skin wherever possible. Start Steed Charging around the map. Remember, as you're Steed Charging, those bombardments are getting an increase in attack stat from that as well. Every so often, when your Steed Charge is not available, use your Sweep Attack to add some armor to yourself. That way you can be a little bit more tanky. The problem with this armor, and I've always noted this in the past, is the fact that it's not very tanky. It's actually kind of squishy. And the fact that the armor itself is very aggro, and most of the time you're going to be very aggro and running into things and trying to devastate things, you have a chance and tendency that you might get caught in an explosion if you're a little too reckless. You might get caught in the freezing AoEs, the poison AoEs, might walk into laser beam. And sometimes, if you don't have your Steed Charge active to be able to dodge out of the way, mobility, because that's really what the Steed Charge is also there for, you can put yourself in a rough spot. Now, people are going to be asking, why am I using Reciprocate over Vacuum? Well, the reason I use Reciprocate is because on the higher Greater Rifts, you pretty much are going to take a lot of damage. So it's good to be able to fire back all that damage via Thorns to particularly like the Rift Guard. Vacuum is great in pulling in enemies, but really, in my personal opinion, when it comes to Bombardment Crusader, you don't really need to pull many enemies towards you, because if you're following this particular build, you are going to have a tremendous amount of mobility associated with the Steed Charge. So you're really not going to be staying in one spot, and you're pretty much going to be running into enemies left and right. Maybe you could argue for the Rift Guardian, the Vacuum would be helpful, but I think Reciprocate, particularly as you get higher up in the Greater Rifts. In terms of further optimization, I would recommend, if potentially possible, you could get resource cost reduction also on your armor. Reason is you'll be a little bit more tanky, which might help you long term, but you're not going to see too significant of a thing. I personally feel like it's more important to prioritize the cooldown reduction for Captain Crimson as opposed to the cost reduction. But then again, I'm a bit more aggro of a player, so I try to go for the fastest potential farming methods and speed run and clear times. Obviously, not everybody plays Diablo III, if that particular playstyle mine, but I prefer to make sure I can do my 2 to 3 minute runs on Greater Rift 70 so I can get some easy farming going, and that's why I pretty much cater my guides to that. Now, if you're trying to get the Greater Rift 150 cleared and you're trying to go for high leaderboard placement, you need full optimization, which means that every piece of your armor should be Ancient Legendary or Primal Ancient Legendary. Then, with those pieces of armor and the weapons and the rings and the necklace, you need to augment Legendary Gems, as you see here, into the armor. My recommendation is if you're struggling in the earlier stages, level up a gem to 80 and then augment it there. Then you can always overwrite a gem stat with another gem. So you can always overwrite whatever augment you did on a piece of armor. I would go back and then do like 100 plus level. Full optimization on this armor. You should, in theory, that was a 2 minute and 39-second clear time on Greater Rift 65. We're going to move on to a Greater Rift 70 so you can see how well it performs there. So, same strategy as before. We're going to activate our Akarat's champion. The first available possibility that we have to activate the Iron Skin we do. Then we will use some sweep attacks to get a little bit of armor to us. Then Steed Charge around. Obviously, the bombardments fixed to the Belt of the Trove are going to be dropping naturally. And don't forget, you also have the Mortal Drama, which is powering it up. Always you want to keep an eye on your Iron Skin. Whenever it's available to click it, because that's how you're doing your maximum amount of damage. Whenever Akarat's champion as well is available, make sure that you re-click it in. To mitigate some of the cooldown problems with this particular armor, we're using Royal Flawless Diamonds and a lot of the spots, as opposed to using Flawless Royal Rubies. Another thing that we're using on this particular build is one of the legendary gems is Goak of Swiftness, which is also why I like to use Sweep Attack, because we could get off fast Sweep Attacks and get the 10 stacks of Goak of Swiftness, so we have super fast cooldown. Subsequently, the other two gems that we're using is Bane of the Trap, because remember, when you level up to level 25, and it automatically has the chance to slow enemies every so often. And the other thing that you definitely need to use on this particular armor set is the Bordeski's Chip. And I want to suggest that you make your Bordeski's Chip as high of a stat as possible, because that will increase the amount of force damage that you deal out as well. So the 3 legendary gems you should run, to reiterate, is Bordeski's Chip, Goak of Swiftness, Bane of the Trap. You can swap out the Bane of the Trap for a Bane of the Stricken, but you're not really going to be able to see too much really good usage out of that, due to the fact that the Bane of the Trap will just kind of pop better for you, and it can slow down a Rift Guardian. Oh, we got taken out by a Stalker there. That's kind of unfortunate. That ruined almost a perfect run that we had going there. That happens every so often in Diablo 3, so don't get stressed out about that. You just keep moving forward. So definitely, you know, make sure you have those legendary gems. Make sure you augment your armor. In theory, if you have full optimization, your stats are properly aligned, you know the damage rotations that you should be doing, you should have absolutely no problem whatsoever clearing Greater Rifts up to 135 solo. You could potentially even clear a Greater Rift 150 solo with this armor. However, that is very dependent on your own personal playstyle, whether you have optimized your stats properly, whether you have put the proper cooldown reduction, whether you're taking advantage of the bombardments, whether you're not using your bombardments recklessly. There's a lot of different things that are going on that you have to have properly optimized to be able to do the Greater Rift 150. This is a very good armor for group play. However, if you're playing with slower players, they're using slower push builds, they probably will get frustrated with you, because you have, as you can see here, super fast mobility, and you kind of decimate the field when you are very, very, very optimized. So keep that in mind. This is more like a solo speed farming build variation. I would really particularly pen it in. Okay, so again, same with damage rotations. Akarat's champion, Iron Skin, the bombardments are dropping naturally. Hold your bombardments in for when, like, you see either Rift Guardian that's not going to go, for the Rift Guardian. If you have elite packs that are too tanky and you're afraid that they are not going to go down super easily, you can then click a bombardment for that. But usually I'd say reserve it for when you really need it, because on most levels you're not going to have to use it. Case in point here, I'm going to have to probably use it. Yeah, I used it. I dropped it now, because as you see there, that one was a bit more tanky. Keep in mind, as you're going higher up in the Greater Rifts, that there is potential for things to take longer to kill. That's just naturally how it is in Diablo 3. Okay, Rift Guardian, same strategy as before. Ooh, I forgot I touched the pylon I didn't need to touch there. Alright, same strategy, Akarat's champion, Iron Skin. We use a sweep attack, the bombardments drop naturally. If you have a bombardment safe, make sure you just click it. Most of the time you're going to be one-shotting just about all the Rift Guardians that you encounter if you have it properly up. That's why I say it's very important to get your Brodesky's chip as high up as possible. Go Akka Swiftness as well. Bane of the Trap, not so much, but you know what, it does help a little bit as too. So, I have been asked this question many times on the channel. What is the plan for Diablo 3 going into the month of September? That was a clear time of 4 minutes. Greater Rift 70, it was probably going to be 3 minutes and 30 had I not taken that unnecessary death from the Stalker, but hey, it is what it is. This is going to be Greater Rift 75. Same strategy as before. Akarat's champion, Iron Skin, Steed Charge for mobility, bombardments drop naturally, and then you pretty much save your bombardment for a tanky fingernail. But in terms of what we're going to do on the channel in September for Diablo 3 content, I am going to observe what Blizzard is going to do in regards to Season 25 of Diablo 3. Right now, we don't know if there's going to be a Season 25. Honestly, we don't even know if there's going to be development on anything Blizzard related because of, obviously, the lawsuit, the scandal, the, harassment, bullying in the workplace, sexual harassment, all this stuff that has kind of given Blizzard a very, very bad look. I don't really want to go into those type of discussions. I'll leave that for other content creators because I just prefer to focus on my armor guides and all that and just let other people make up their minds. I will say this much. What Blizzard did in particular in Activision is irreprehensible. It's terrible. I don't condone their actions whatsoever, and I do hope that the law prosecutes them to the highest extent and gives them the appropriate punishment, because that should not be tolerated in this day and age. But that's as much as I'm going to speak in regards to that topic. Moving on. For season... Well, we're going to see if there's going to be a Season 25. If there's a Season 25, I will probably pop out one Diablo 3 video a week. As we all know, Diablo 2 Resurrected is coming out on September 23rd. I am obviously going to be picking that up, because I'm actually a little bit tired of playing Diablo 3 myself. So, I'm going to be obviously picking it up. I think I'm going to be picking it up on the Nintendo Switch platform. I haven't decided if I'm doing it on PC yet. I might change my mind, but it all depends on whether they have offline play for it or not. And like I said before in a previous video, I am more interested in trying to, it's easier for me to farm things and build guides while I can play on my Nintendo Switch and watch TV at the same time, or I can take it on the go. It's a little harder to do that. Obviously, I have a laptop, but, to do it on my laptop, it'd be quite difficult. So I'm not particularly a fan of trying to go that particular method with it at the moment. But I will keep people up to date as to which version of the game that I'm going to be picking up. But the plan is that I want to do 2 Diablo 2 set builds a week on the channel. Obviously, the first week that the game comes out, I might have to just do a bit of a playthrough and first impressions video for it, because it was going to take me a lot longer than that to be able to make the appropriate content for Diablo 2. But the plan is 2 Diablo 2 videos a week and then 1 Diablo 3 video a week. If I find out that there's not going to be a Season 25 and that Blizzard's probably going to pull support for Diablo 3, which would make sense since this game is going to be 10 years old in 2022, it would make more sense to then just move completely over to Diablo 2 Resurrected. So in that case, I probably would make final armor guides as my definitive builds for every armor set, but those would probably come out maybe once a week or once every other week. It really is depending. Also, it depends on really my viewers. As I always mention, thank you to everybody that has liked videos, sub to the channel, continued to support, left comments, whether positive, constructive criticism, etc. I can't thank you guys enough for making that content very, very successful on the channel, and I try to do my very best, and I hope, based on the way you guys have reciprocated in that retrospect, that I've done a pretty good job, at least I think in my personal opinion, although sometimes in the comments I've heard otherwise, but that's okay, everybody's entitled to their opinions. So definitely thank you to everybody in that regard. But I'm definitely going to also look at you, the viewers, as to what you're interested in. And definitely, if you've been a long-time viewer of the channel, let me know if you want to see me continuing to cover Diablo 3 content, or just move on to Diablo 2 Resurrected if that's where you're more interested in, because obviously I want to put out content that my viewers would be the most interested in. And, you know, Diablo 2 Resurrected is going to be basically like that fresh new toy fill for a lot of people, because, you know, playing Diablo 3 for God knows how long already at this point. It's very easy to get burnt out on a game that, I mean, I give devs credit, despite the horrible company they work for, that they've done a pretty bang-up job of trying to keep Diablo 3 fresh with the reworks and, you know, the seasonal things and everything of the sort. So it's got a good, interesting, infinite replay value type of feedback loop there. Alright, that was a great riff. 84 minutes and 23 second clear time, so you can see how powerful this armor is. Alright, guys, so that is pretty much going to do it for today's video. As always, a like and subscribe are greatly appreciated on this channel, as it helps the channel grow. And I will see you for the next Diablo 3 video. Till next time.